Welcome to this video on Sunday School Insights. Today, Pastor Frank Brown explores the profound biblical imagery of how God prunes and grafts, as found in Romans chapter 11. We will begin by unpacking the olive tree metaphor, which serves as a powerful warning against arrogance. We'll also examine the tension between God's severity and kindness, and look forward to the promise of ultimate restoration. Paul explains that Israel's stumble was not a permanent failure. Instead, God used this moment strategically as a pathway of grace, opening the door of salvation to the Gentiles. Think of it like a grand banquet. When the invited guests decline, the host opens the doors to everyone else. Later, the original guests look through the windows and see the joy inside, longing to return. God's grace adapts to include everyone. What began as a specific blessing to one group became a bridge to invite the whole world into His grace. This divine purpose highlights how a temporary rejection became the direct pathway for the non-Jewish world to receive the gift of salvation. In this metaphor, Jesus is the holy root, the source of all life. Gentile believers are the wild branches grafted in, fully dependent on that root for their spiritual vitality. Paul uses this imagery to remind us that we have no independent source of life. We are sustained entirely by the nourishment provided by the holy root. Consider a smartphone unplugged from its power source. It is useless once the battery dies. Similarly, we have no independent spiritual life support. We must stay connected to the current of God's grace. Paul warns against arrogance. We stand only by faith, not by our own merit. The correct posture is one of reverent awe and a healthy respect for the severity of God. The branches were broken off due to unbelief. Our position on the tree is maintained through our continued faith, not our pride. If an adopted child brags about being more worthy than the original children, they miss the point of their adoption. We were brought into God's family by mercy, not by our own performance. Ultimately, no one is too broken to be restored. God's plan is a unified family, and just as He grafted in the wild branches, He can effortlessly restore the natural ones. We see the tension between God's severity toward those who fall, and His immense kindness to those who remain in His grace. True faith requires our continuous reliance on Him. Looking at Romans chapter 11, verses 23 to 24, we see God's power to graft them back. The scripture reminds us that if the Jewish people do not persist in their unbelief, they can be grafted back into their own tree. This reveals the logic of divine restoration. If God had the power to graft wild branches into a cultivated tree, He is certainly capable of grafting the natural branches back into their own place. In this horticultural metaphor, the master grafter shows us that no one is ever too broken or has a history too failed to be restored. The same hand that grafted you in by grace is fully capable of healing the fallen. Our study of the olive tree concludes with 4 core takeaways: divine strategy, absolute dependence on the root, a posture of humility, and the promise of ultimate restoration for all. Thank you for joining us in this video exploration of God's pruning and grafting. May you walk in humility, knowing that no one is ever beyond God's restoring grace. God bless. From Pastor and Lady Bear Brown.